The Seaport brought to you by Patron. Perfection starts with Patron. Well, we've discussed the choke, unfortunately, for Rory McIlroy. The comeback from Bryson DeChambeau yesterday. Their rivalry not as strong as what we have seen now in the WNBA. Angel Reese in the third quarter of a game for the Chicago Sky against the Indiana Fever, a game that the Fever won yesterday. Second straight win for the Fever against the Sky.
Let's go.
They're going to play again on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And there was a foul called that was ultimately upgraded to a flagrant one. Angel Reese post-game discussed her flagrant foul on Caitlin Clark.
A basketball play.
Do you feel like that was the appropriate call? Or
It's a basketball play. I can't control the refs. They affected the game, obviously, a lot tonight. So.
But it did look like you were going for the ball.
I mean, I'm always going for the ball, but y'all going to play that clip, 20 times before Monday? So. It's cool.
We don't work in TV, so I'm not going to play it anymore. But,
I mean, this clip going to get out somewhere. I know.
Well, she's right. If you're watching us on ESPN2, we are playing that clip. Is it a basketball play that Angel Reese made yet? Or was it a basketball play that Angel Reese made yesterday?
Yeah, that was a basketball play. If you watch the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese, she's trying to block a shot. That's what she does. Like the motion is very similar to what we've seen from her throughout her rookie season, even when she was at LSU and going back before that in Maryland. So this is who Angel Reese is in terms of a basketball player. She's going to give you a hard contest, but make no mistake about it, that's a hard-ass foul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to replay it because that is what we've been doing with every hard foul on Caitlin Clark, and we've gotten into this space now when we're litigating and we're judging every single foul, every single hard play against Caitlin Clark, and we're wondering, is there some underlying animus behind the actual play? And in this particular instance, I don't think so, but I just don't understand why Angel Reese wants to add fuel to the fire that has been one of the most explosive, incendiary talking points, conversations that we've had in sports in a really long time.
Yes, it was a basketball play, but I also think because of the two people involved in it, it feels like there was a little extra something on this one with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe it wasn't, but that's the way that we are going to read into it because of the pre-existing rivalry between these two specific players. And Angel Reese certainly did do something to stoke the fires in her comments after the game, but I think that this rivalry is so great for women's basketball. I know that it's going to circle back to the treatment of Caitlin Clark and another hard foul on Caitlin Clark, which I actually think is a shame because part of the reason that so many new fans have come to the W is not just because of Caitlin Clark. She may be the gateway for a lot of people, but along that gateway came a great rivalry between these two women. And as long as we keep having moments, hopefully not moments like that, but moments between them that continue to stoke this rivalry and stoke the interest between these two players, that's good for the W.
Angel Reese post-game also on the lack of foul calls in that game. She had 5 of them and a delay of game on the foul calls with everybody else, basically, is what she was referring to.
Going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle, but just being able to play hard as best as we can. I'm still proud of Camilla going on, still getting a double-double. And that's something y'all not going to be able to stop regardless of the referees. Like, we're here for a while. We're not going to be denied, it's no matter what you guys can try to do. But our goal is to win, and we're going to do whatever it takes to win and continue to do that.
I'm going to guess the special whistle, who she's referring to there, is one Caitlin Clark, if I had to guess.
You think?
Yeah, but I just again, I don't understand why we're taking it to that place. It's not as if what Angel Reese did on the court wasn't fouls. Like, even after that, she had a foul where she pushed one of the players from the Fever in the back to get an offensive rebound. It was a foul. It was clearly a foul. I don't understand why she's saying it's a special whistle when what she's doing, the plays that she's making are actually fouls. They're legitimate foul calls. So why are we going to, again, spotlight Caitlin Clark and saying she's getting special treatment when you're the one that's committing these fouls? That's what I mean by adding fuel to the fire to an already polarizing conversation. Right? Like we're talking about this rivalry that is Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, coming from college to the NBA, to the WNBA, being able to transcend the different levels of the sport. Those are all positives. But when we continue to, I guess, have this agenda where we're we're saying that Caitlin Clark is getting preferential treatment or special treatment even by the WNBA referees, I think that's a dangerous place for the sport to be in because there are already a lot of people that feel some kind of way about the inequity in terms of what Caitlin Clark has been able to do and how she's been able to monetize her athletic ability relative to the ladies that have already been in the WNBA and have proven themselves much more than she has.
But isn't that just a glimpse into furthering the way that we think that these women are viewing Caitlin Clark and her entry into the W? Because that's what we've been getting, right? That they think that she is getting preferential treatment, that she is getting certain calls, that she is getting money and all of these things, and she hasn't proven herself in the W just yet. And by Angel Reese saying that, it's only furthering that thought process.
We've said all along that we believe that people in and around the WNBA don't like the idea of Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
And everything that has gone along with her storyline. She has given us basically nothing to hate on herself. I wish that the WNBA players who have an issue with her, like to me, it almost feels like there is something. Just say it.
Oh, there is something.
But isn't Angel Reese saying that?
But I'm not saying the idea. I'm saying in general.
Didn't Angel Reese say that when she says some people get a special whistle? Yeah. We all know who she's talking about.
But just say it already. What is it that you don't like about her? What is it? And not the idea of her, because you have justification on the idea of why the eyeballs are there, why the attention is there, why didn't we notice it prior? All of that is a fair conversation to have.
Okay.
But she's the personification of that.
I get it. But is there something that we don't know that she has done that bothers these players so much?
No, and she says and does all of the right things. Like her commentary last week when it came to Jim Trotter's line of questioning and people weaponizing her name, I thought she had the proper retort for that. The second time around when she was put in a position to answer that question, even after last night's game, she talks about how it was a hard foul, but, she's just trying to go out there and hoop, and she thinks that what's going on between her and Angel Reese is great for the game. She has said and done all of the right things. I mean, yesterday's game, she broke a tie with Arike Ogunbowale from the Dallas Wings for the most games this season with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Like, that's what she did. Like she is the fourth rookie in WNBA history to have 40 made three-point field goals through the first 15 games of her career. Like she is.
She's actually been very good.
She's actually been good, considering all of the things that she's had to go through in the early months of her career. This has been a lot for her to handle, a lot for her to manage, but she's taken it all in stride, and she stands as a great ambassador for the professional women's game. And that's the part where I wish the WNBA players would recognize that and understand how beneficial it is to them. And that would dial down some of the animus that they have directed toward her, if they had that perspective.
And most times when you hear her talk, she always tries to bring it back to basketball, which I appreciate. And I just think it's been incredibly unfair that there has been all of this commentary around her, and it hasn't been mentioned enough that the reason so many people did fall in love with Caitlin Clark is because of her game and because of how great she is at basketball. And through, as you said, Cece, throughout all of this storm that she's been in the eye of throughout this season, she has still gradually gotten better and better and better throughout the season. And I'm just very impressed with the way that she's been able to handle herself in the midst of all of this. Because let's not forget, this is a 22-year-old young woman. It cannot be easy to withstand all of this.
Look, the argument around it that it should not have taken this much for people to recognize the beauty around the WNBA in terms of the style of play, the ball movement, the success of all of the players in the past, that is all fair. It seems like we are way past the point of the treatment of Caitlin Clark as beyond unfair. It's getting redundant in some ways. Every single week is something new to express frustration around the idea of we failed in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't see how we're moving forward. Because, okay, a flagrant foul, yeah, that was a flagrant foul. Do I think Angel Reese tried to hit her, knock her head off? Absolutely not. Do I think it should have been a flagrant foul? Yeah, because it's basketball. That's a basketball play that becomes this bigger conversation.
But Angel Reese made it a bigger conversation, and that's the frustration that I have. But you know what, Ev? I'm sitting here thinking about this thing over the weekend. Maybe this is a good thing for women's basketball. Maybe this is a good thing for the W.
How so?
No, because we're talking about it. constantly, incessantly. We're litigating every single foul against Caitlin Clark, every single hard basketball play, every single hard pick that she runs into. And she is one of the biggest stars in all of sports, not just the W. Like, maybe her getting left off of the Olympic team is a good thing because we're talking about it. We've been talking about Caitlin Clark multiple times every single week since the WNBA season has tipped off. So we keep talking about how this creates a lot of negative publicity for the WNBA. Well, maybe it's the old adage, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Maybe that's a real thing right now. And Angel Reese making the comments that she did post-game actually continues to, turn up the volume on the WNBA as a whole and have more eyeballs being drawn to the sport. The more polarizing it is, the more people are paying attention to it. Angel Reese did nothing to quell that with her post-game commentary about the special whistle.
Right.
So maybe it ends up being a good thing. We keep talking about it as if this spectacle is a negative and we keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maybe it won't drop. Maybe this is exactly what the WNBA needs.
I think it all depends on what you consider talking about a sport. Is it the actual X's and O's or using a sport to talk about other things? We're talking about Rory and Bryson DeChambeau, right? The mass appeal conversation is about the concept of an elite athlete choking, the concept of an elite athlete who was a villain in the past, now a hero, coming back. We're not breaking down the sixth hole on Saturday, right? So that's the conversation around the U.S. Open becomes a big picture mass appeal conversation. Where you're 1,000% right is we never even used the WNBA as a jump off for any conversation in the past. Even if it's a jump off now for race, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, and bigger picture, even the timing of the sport we've had the conversation of because Caitlin Clark was done in March and started in April, that kind of or April and May, whatever it is. It's now used as a jump off for conversation, right? The NFL is one of one. We don't need to use it for anything other than, did you see that play in the third quarter? Right? Like, that's it. Jason Tatum's comments that we've discussed today about the NBA Finals. It's not really an X's and O's. It's about mindset, mentality. I think the WNBA is now in the conversation for what can we do with this to make it a bigger picture conversation that we do with literally everything but the NFL.
Well, you just gave it. You just talked about an elite athlete overcoming. You framed it as adversity, but this is an elite athlete overcoming. Like Caitlin Clark overcoming all of the vitriol directed at her by the WNBA players. And this started before she even dribbled a basketball in the league, what Diana Taurasi said on her podcast. Like, we knew this was coming, and we've seen this treatment over several weeks now. This is not going away. So there is that element of an elite athlete overcoming. And that is something that we've all fallen in love with when it comes to sports in this country. So I do.
And because of her, we notice it.
I do think it's that storyline, and because it's Caitlin Clark, somebody that we were already interested in because of her style of play in college, we're paying a lot of attention to it. I think where the rub is that there are so many women in the W that have been overlooked for so long.
Yep.
They feel like the story of an elite athlete overcoming belongs to them and not Caitlin Clark. And that's when we get back to the idea of Caitlin Clark being so offensive to them and them not being able to help themselves when it comes out to directing that frustration to, as Smalls called it, the living personification of an elite athlete overcoming in our minds.
All right, Brian Windhorst's going to join us coming up. The NBA Finals are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tonight, Game 5, Celtics Mavs, presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, most ESPN radio stations, and on SiriusXM Channel 80. Windy on the Finals next on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio.
Hey, this show and all of ESPN Radio